Hey guys, Mel here. So last summer I saw a YouTube video on inattentive ADHD symptoms and traits in girls and women, and I thought that a lot of them fit me as both a kid and now. So I decided to do some more research about inattentive ADHD, and I read that girls can often fly under the radar, like a boy who acts out in the stereotypical way is more likely to be diagnosed than a shy, quiet, and respectful girl who is struggling academically. And so I began to wonder if I could have flown under the radar, and it also makes sense because not as much was known about how girls present back in the 90s when I was a kid, and I had already discovered in 2018 when I did psychological testing that I was diagnosed with anxiety and depressive disorders, that my shyness was anxiety, and supposedly back then the testing psychologist that I'd had in 2018 ruled out ADHD because he said that I did well with the executive functioning test, like about average to above average in most of it, and that he also said because I'm bright. But as I researched more these past several months, I learned that some people with ADHD and or autism can do well on executive functioning tests, especially adults, because we've probably learned like how to mask or how to cope better, and that people with ADHD and or autism can also be bright. So it basically, I was thinking that as the testing psychologist was an older male, I wondered if maybe he wasn't up to date on how girls and women can present. And so I looked into testing for ADHD, and when I had a telehealth intake a few months ago, the person asked if I wanted to test for autism as well, and so I said sure, because I really wasn't sure if I would meet the criteria for autism. And also, I don't like self-diagnosing, so pretty much I would just say that even if I didn't meet the criteria, I have traits of both, because that part would be true no matter what, that like lots of people have traits of either one or both, just as lots of people can have anxiety and depression, but it's not enough to meet the criteria of being a disorder. So it was like, yeah, I definitely have like this trait and this trait. I don't know if it's like enough, but you know, it's still that I have the traits. So I finally did the neurodevelopment testing last Tuesday, May 6th, and I did get the diagnosis of Inattentive Type ADHD, level 1 autism, and also my depression is now specified as persistent depressive disorder, which I had kind of been wondering about because I can have like several weeks or several months where I'm okay, and then something cycles in my brain and I can become depressed again. Luckily I'm high functioning for everything, so like I can still go to work, I can still do stuff. It's just like I might like come home and cry or something, and so I had like pretty much been wondering that, so that's what I have. And then I also was diagnosed with unspecified obsessive compulsive and related disorder, and in 2018 I had been diagnosed with traits of avoidant personality, dependent personality, and obsessive compulsive personality disorders. And so as I was also researching the ADHD, I also wondered if maybe like those three things, like the traits of those three personality disorders, could have actually been like ADHD, because some of the symptoms can overlap, The reasons are different, but the symptoms themselves can overlap. And so basically here I am. So it is validating that to have the diagnosis, and because even though it's like very mild for everything and I'm very high functioning, it definitely helps with like some of my past like memories and like of school and whatnot, and like why I probably didn't do too well, because like 5th grade through 8th grade was like were my worst years academically, where I just didn't try as hard as I probably should have, but I also was like often misplaced papers, often forgot to do homework or forgot homework at home. Even in 6th grade, I forgot my permission slip to go on a canoe trip, and that kind of devastated me because it was supposed to be in by like a certain day, by a certain time, and like I had just simply, I meant to bring it and I forgot, so I wasn't able to go on that trip. And I mean, later on I did finally go canoeing elsewhere, but you know, so it is like also validating as to why I procrastinate a lot, why I often have low energy or low motivation, why I seem to be better at starting things than finishing them. Like, I have so many projects over the years that I've started, and they've just ended up on the back burner. Sometimes I finish them eventually, some have still not been finished. Other times I have lots of ideas, but not enough time, energy, or motivation to actually start them. And also, this would make sense as to why I even have had some videos that I wanted to film or started filming, but for this channel, but just never got around to it, to like finishing it or anything. So yeah, it's definitely validating, and it will be nice to try to learn some new ways to cope with stuff, like some new tools and whatnot. And it also explains why I have so many, like, the ADHD part explains why I have so many, like, so many crafts and stuff that I like to do, or so many hobbies that cycle around and whatnot. And it also kind of makes sense why I have like a large stuffed animal and doll collection, why I've never really gotten out of them. So it will be interesting as I learn more and everything. And so that's pretty much all I wanted to share in this video. And yes, there are times, because of everything being mild, that I'm still right now kind of processing everything and being like, well, how can I be autistic if this blah 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 blah, because like taking photos and stuff, I'm generally okay being in photos. Like, I'll take selfies, generally I'm fine being in like other photos. There are times when if I'm in a bad mood, I can't really fake a smile or anything, but other times I can smile just okay. I also at work tend to smile like a lot, even though I could be like super tired, or like one of my coworkers will be like, well, you're all smiley, like, you know, what's the reason? And I'm like, I really don't know. It's just like an automatic thing, unless I'm in a really bad mood, and then I'll be like more mopey or crying or whatnot. And I also am one of those people who's sensitive and does cry when I'm upset. I do have a hard time crying at other things, like I'm not really much for crying at sad movies, unless it was one that I grew up with as a kid, like Land Before Time, when, you know, Littlefoot loses his parents, and also Nestor Long-Eared Donkey, where Nestor loses his mother. Those I will cry at, because that's just like something I've always done since I was little. But other things, I might not, so it just all depends. And yeah, so I will see you in the next video, and that should be art themed, and I will give you a slight hint, as I need to kind of, that's your hint of what the next video will be about. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.